What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Wildcast podcast. Justin Spears here with my guy, Michael Lev, talking all things Arizona Wildcats football. Now that the regular season has finally come to an end, Arizona ends the regular season 9-3. They're on a 5-game winning streak, and they beat ASU 23-7. Lots to talk about in regards to the Territorial Cup, just really the season as a whole. It's been quite the journey for Arizona football, and we'll talk about it all. Plus, we're also going to get into your mailbag questions here shortly. And then since this is the only podcast of the week, I believe, so we're going to have Jordan Hamm join us later on in the show to give us his prediction for one last Big 12 Bonanza, which is going to be, and you know what, Lev? Glad you sent me the text message, because how does that sound?
That sounds a lot better.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry for the wonky start to the podcast. So this system that we have, my microphone is plugged in, but for some reason it does not automatically read it. So I always have to manually install it. So now that the microphone is plugged in, let's talk about the Wildcast podcast.
I just say technology. Am I right? That's just my response to about everything these days.
So you were getting computer audio the first minute. Now here we are, mic'd up.
We will pick the Big 12 championship game later in this pod. We will pick games all the way through to the end of the season. I don't know whether we will all be able to get together to pick them on a podcast because the bowl schedule is so scattered. So we'll see about that. But the season-long race to the middle, to below averageness will continue all the way through the postseason, which for Arizona, I don't know, that could be January 2nd, Justin.
Yeah.
We could be playing football into calendar year 2026.
How about that? And that's honestly really the best case scenario for Arizona. And that January 2nd bowl game would be the Holiday Bowl. After the Territorial Cup, there was a gentleman wearing a red coat. I got to figure out who that guy was, what his name.
I think our former colleague Ryan Finley knows who that guy is. Ryan Finley, who now works for the San Diego Union Tribune and is also like one of the biggest fans of bowl games and the Holiday Bowl, and just kind of knows that world well. I think he knows who that guy was.
Okay. Because he was some guy in a red coat, Holiday Bowl representative. He asked the players a question. And after the media availability wrapped up with Brent Brennan, he kind of turned everybody and essentially said, like, see you all in San Diego. And we had a contract with ASU's name on it, but I think we're going to have to reconsider. And next thing you know, we walk out into the hallway after the availability, and we see the guy talking to Brent, and we see him talking to other U of A staffers. So that leads me to believe that Arizona is a strong candidate for the Holiday Bowl, which would be their first time playing in that bowl game since 2009, which does not bode well because Arizona lost that game to Nebraska. They got Ndamukong sued 33-0. But
they won the previous Holiday Bowl.
But they won the previous Holiday Bowl in 1998. And the brother of head coach Brent Brennan, Brad Brennan, made a big-time play in that game against the defending national champs in Nebraska. So they're definitely not going to play Nebraska this time around. If they go to the Holiday Bowl, it would be likely Georgia Tech, SMU, maybe Miami. Again, that's if they go to the Holiday Bowl. You never know, right? I mean, they could end up in a number of bowl games, right? Like they could return to the Alamo Bowl. They could go to the Sun Bowl. They could go to the LA Bowl, which would be on December 13th. Like, you just never know until you know. But I feel really strongly about Arizona playing on January 2nd on the Holiday Bowl, which would be great because it's January 2nd. So all those guys that are banged up get healthy over the next few weeks, Lev. And then on top of that, this recruiting class that they're about to sign for 2026, a lot of them, or some of them, are going to be early enrollees. And then there's a possibility that they're able to practice with Arizona during the bowl. Now, they're not going to be playing in the game in the Holiday Bowl, but it's essentially like you're extending your spring practice by a week or two, and you're getting those young players implemented into your program, and you're getting them on a really good start. So I think Holiday Bowl, January 2nd, heck, even Sun Bowl on New Year's Eve, I think is a really good spot for Arizona, and it's a really good place to be.
Yeah, there's in our mailbag, which we'll get to here shortly. There are a lot of questions about bowl games and so forth, but I do feel like the fans would be disappointed at this point if it were anything but the Holiday Bowl.
Yeah.
And if it ended up being the Sun Bowl, like, look, we're advocates of the Sun Bowl. We would be happy to go to El Paso, but man, if you can go to San Diego or El Paso, I
For
think
New Year's,
most people would probably lean towards San Diego. Again, no offense to our neighbors over there in El Paso. We'd be happy to go to the Sun Bowl, but it certainly seems like things are trending in that direction, and that would be very cool opportunity, I think, for Arizona. Like, there's a lot of people who live in Tucson who travel to San Diego for vacation. There are a lot of people who live in Southern California in the San Diego area who are Arizona alums. You would be looking at an ACC opponent in this game, correct? So it could be someone like Georgia Tech or Pitt, or someone of that nature. And then I think that is the only bowl game that Fox broadcasts. So you likely get the A team of Gus Johnson, Joel Klatt on that game. So that would be, to me, a great way to end the season. It does make the season long, right? I mean, it could be over on December 13th, or you go to January 2nd. But the benefit of that is, as you mentioned, more practices, more opportunities for young players who are on the team currently, and even guys who are arriving in mid-year. They might be able to, dip their toe in the water a little bit and see what it's like to be part of an Arizona football practice.
Man, Gus Johnson calling an Arizona football game.
That happened.
Hudson, touchdown! Man,
that happened last year. That happened last year one time and did not go well. That was the BYU game.
Oh boy,
on the road. Yeah, that was more like Fafita interception.
Fafita sacked.
Oh god!
Yeah, you got annihilated.
Yeah, nearly killed in the back of the end zone. Yes.
Poor Noah.
But hey, things are
different, Lev.
Things have changed. Things have improved.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, okay, I think just to kind of wrap things up here.
Yeah.
Before we get into the mailbag, 9-3. How do they get from 4-8 to 9-3? Like, you think about the timeline of just the time that they let go of assistant coaches, replaced all the coordinators, were able to keep Noah, able to retain Genesis and Traden and Dalton. Like, all those guys entered the portal. A lot of people forget that. And so they had to kind of re-recruit these guys in some ways, and they allow those guys to go out there and see what their value is and see what's out there. And they decided, what's best for them is Arizona. And so to keep those guys, I think, says a lot about the staff and just kind of the people they are and the culture that they want to build, because those guys have been through multiple coaching changes. They were probably so sick of all the adversity and all the different change. And for them to stick it out, I think, says a lot about those guys, and it says a lot about the coaches. And then I also think it says a lot about the scouting department. Guys like Crowley, the general manager, and Fletcher Kelly, the director of scouting, and the dozen-plus interns that they have that just goes over just thousands of prospects and looks at just film really on a 24/7 basis. And for them to identify 60 newcomers that could come in and impact the program and give Arizona depth, even when they face adversity, because they have some injuries and they've been able to figure out ways to overcome that. And I think that says a lot about the guys that are adding the personnel and are adding the players, and also the coaches matching that personnel and finding a successful formula. So I think all in all, Lev, long story short, it was really just a perfect storm for Brent Brennan. And now you've got the foundation for what could be a very successful run, because Brent Brennan is the kind of guy where, yeah, he might get looked at as other, schools or from other schools, but Brent Brennan is not going anywhere. Like, he wants to be here for the long haul and really build something special. So really good foundation.
Yeah, we are recording this midday Tuesday. So this is a day before signing day. We don't have the official list of signees, but it is a very impressive looking class that's ranked around 31, 32 in the nation. I bring this up because Brent Brennan has said, even when things were looking grim at this very start of the offseason, he's like, we are going to build a program here. right? So it is still really important to recruit high school players, develop them, make sure that they're happy here, right? Even if they're not playing very much.
Yes.
And I think they've done a good job of doing that. They also did a masterful job of plugging in holes, right? Look at their offensive line. Most of the season, 4 of the 5 starters, sorry, all 5 of the starters were transfers at one time or another, right? Chuba Ma'ai and Alexander Deuce came in right before Brent got here. Then the other 3 were part of this last recruiting class, right?
Yeah.
Number 1 wide receiver, Chris Hudson, transfer in this class. Number 1 running back, Ismail Mahdi, transfer in this class. Defensive line, Malachi Bailey, Deshaun McKnight, Tia Savea, 2-time transfer into the Arizona program. Max Harris, linebacker. The cornerback crew, right? Michael Dansby, Javion Cole,
Aiden Garnes.
Aiden Garnes had a really good year. And then you have the constants, right? The anchors. You have the 3 defensive backs, Genesis Smith, Dalton Johnson, Traden Stukes, and you have the quarterback, Noah Fafita. So they were able to blend all of those guys together to make this really good team. And when you look at like one of the reasons that they're 9-3, you know who's number 1 in the Big 12 in turnover margin? Justin, that would be your Arizona Wildcats. Yep. Like it is hard to find any category that Texas Tech is not number 1 in the league, but Arizona's got them there. And that right there is always the number 1 most reliable statistic to determine, wins and losses. And this is not like, oh, they're getting outgained every game and they're just getting lucky with turnovers. Like they have the number 2 or their top 5 pass defense in the country. So they are really limiting what opponents are. They're making opponents one-dimensional.
Yeah.
The quarterback play, as predicted and promised by Seth Dagey and Brent Brennan in the offseason, improved a bunch over last year, right? I think Noah Fafita was 18-12 touchdown to interception ratio, and I think this year 26-5.
Yep.
That is a big time improvement. And then
career high and career low, by the way, in touchdowns and in picks.
Yeah, there you go. That says a lot. And then I think a lot of credit to many of Brent's assistant coaches. Seth Dagey came in and did a great job, I think, of figuring out this offense, building a relationship with Noah Fafita. Josh Oglesby, who was trashed by U of A fans last year, right? Like if Brent Brennan got the most heat, Josh Oglesby probably got the second most. Awesome job with the offensive line. I mean, young player like Matthew Lotto stepping in for Tristan Bounds like seamlessly, like tremendous coaching job. And then of course on the other side of the ball, Danny Gonzalez, who is a semifinalist for the Broyles Award that came out today. So he's one of 15 coaches who are being considered as the top assistant coach in the country. So really good job from the top down of like, just, I think you use this term for the season preview, like just hitting the reset button.
Yeah.
Right. Starting over. And we didn't know if it was all going to work. And it did.
It did. You know how many footballs they've stabbed this year? They've stabbed a lot of footballs.
Many. I mean, they include the 4th down stops, right?
Yeah,
so it's got to be like somewhere around 40.
we're talking about over 3 dozen footballs that are just stabbed on a sword like a shish kebab. It's incredible what that side of the ball has done. Are they number 1 in college football in takeaways this year?
So you're making me look things up, which I could do very quickly.
I know.
Hang on.
Because I know they have the second best passing defense in college football. But as far as like total takeaways, I don't think they're number 1 in the Big 12. I think BYU's got them by 1.
No, you know what? They are.
They're number
1 in the country in takeaways.
Yeah.
28 takeaways. Texas Tech and SMU are tied for second at 27. So yeah. How about that?
There's a reason why Danny G is a semifinalist for the Royals.
And it's weird is they don't have like a crazy amount of sacks. You look at their pressures from game to game, and it's not like that high, right? Compared to some of their peers. Like I've been doing research for the all Big 12 teams that we vote on as part of the AP panel. And like, this Texas Tech, like their defensive line, it's just the number of pressures is ridiculous, right? I mean, it is absurd. Arizona doesn't have that, but what they do on defense is so confusing and confounding for quarterbacks that it ends up with a super low percentage, super low efficiency rating, and then a bunch of picks.
Mm-hmm.
Dandy said, what did he say? They intercepted 21 one year or something at San Diego State. And that was part of his pitch to guys like Genesis and Dalton. Like, hey, you want to be part of something like this? Like, I've done this before. We can do it again.
Yep.
And they did.
Yep. And future looks very bright because even when you lose Dalton Johnson, who is, in my opinion, an all Big 12 selection. I don't know if you know this, Lev, but Dalton Johnson leads defensive backs and tackles this year.
Mm-hmm.
In the Big 12.
Yep. And he's got the picks, and he's got a very good reception percentage against at around like 55%, which, these days that's pretty darn good. It's not Michael Dansby. Michael Dansby is around 30%. I want to say maybe even better than that. I have that
Dansby Island.
Seriously.
Yeah. Cause they do a lot of man coverage. So
this is a guy. Yeah. This is a guy too. Yeah. Yeah, that Geiska told me is someone to keep an eye on for the draft because he was a big time track guy.
Yeah, in
high school, 33%, 12 of 36. So he's been targeted 36 times. He's given up 12 receptions.
Wow,
that seems good.
It's really good. All right, Lev. So Arizona 9-3, 5-game winning streak going into this bowl game. And now, without further ado, let's answer some mailbag questions. I know you got plenty.
I do. We thank everybody for sending them in all season long. Justin and I will continue to do periodic podcasts here during the off season, certainly leading into and coming out of the bowl game. I will also try to do some with our colleague Bruce Pascoe, talk a little bit of basketball here as we transition into that season, which is well underway. Of course, and they're doing very well. I just want to say before we get started, Steve Molina sent in some very thoughtful posts about season tickets and stuff to do with the stadium. And I'm not going to get into that on this podcast, but maybe on a future podcast, we will address these type of issues. Steve had some very interesting ideas about that stuff. So, all right, let's start with Mark Gallup.
Okay.
Speculation on any players deciding not to participate in the bowl game. So one thing to note is they have moved back the transfer portal window. Used to be in early December. Now it starts on the same day as the Holiday Bowl would start, January 2nd. But they pushed it back, I think, in part because so many guys were opting out of these postseason games, right? So I don't think many players on Arizona's roster are in that position. What do you think, Justin?
No, I would be surprised, because you don't have any like bona fide first round picks, right? Like this isn't going to be like a Jordan Morgan at the Alamo Bowl situation where when he opted out, we were like, yeah, okay, we get it, man. Like you are going to be a first round pick. Yes, this is a big bowl game against a high-profile team in Oklahoma, but Jordan Morgan made the absolute right and smart decision for him for this to opt out. So I think Arizona doesn't have a situation like that. As far as transfer portal guys, I think what they'll probably do is, me thinking as like a guy who's in my early 20s, who's a part of a great college football program, these guys are having a good time. Brent Brennan talks about how much he wants to make sure that all of his players are having a good time. And so I think that the guys on this team, they're just going to ride out the season. And then January 5th or 4th is when we'll see some names go into the portal and maybe pop up. And who knows? I mean, they could be high profile guys. I don't know. I doubt it just because I think Arizona has a really good thing going right now. They have a lot of momentum, and they have a product that players just want to be a part of. So as far as departures, I just would say, don't expect any big surprises, but we'll see. But yeah, I think as far as the portal right around bowl season, I don't think you're going to see any guys opt out.
Yes. So if anyone does decide to announce that they're going to enter the portal from Arizona during the month of December, I feel like Brent Brennan would probably be like, okay, been nice knowing you. You're not going to be part of the bowl team, because he's been very much like, you're kind of either with us or not, or you're not.
Yeah.
Like, you either want to be here or you don't. I don't think that any players of consequence would be doing that. If you were thinking about it, and like you said, young guy, maybe get some bowl swag, go experience San Diego,
go to SeaWorld.
You're probably going to play. You're probably going to play in the Holiday Bowl and then go in the portal the next day. That would be the move to me. I mean, why not? If you could do play, put more film out, even if it's just on special teams.
Yeah.
Right. Everyone's watching all the time. Every little bit counts in that regard. Okay. So remember, a lot of these were sent in before the Territorial Cup. So Tim Taylor says, win or lose Friday, this is a good year. Win Friday makes it really good. Bowl game outcome less important. What's the trajectory look like, and who comes after Noah? Well, I think the overall program trajectory is looking pretty good right now.
Absolutely.
Follow up with this like top 35 recruiting class. That's a nice foundation right there. After Noah, we think Noah Fifita is going to come back for one more season at Arizona. That is our belief. If he does that and he stays healthy and has a good year, he will absolutely obliterate pretty much every record that has existed, and will be the greatest quarterback in the history of Arizona football. Yep. There is a quarterback on the roster right now named Sawyer Anderson from Texas, who we saw a bunch in practice, who's someone that could be in the mix to succeed him. And of course,
Baby Daggy.
Baby Daggy.
Baby Daggy.
Baby Daggy. And then there's Oscar Rios, right? 4-star quarterback from Downey, right? California.
Yep.
Who is one of the, headliners of this incoming class. Someone who participated in the Elite 11 competition, and a pretty big deal to get him to commit here. He's been tweeting stuff to show just how excited he is about coming to Arizona and signing with Arizona, assuming there isn't some sort of last minute 11th hour, someone dropping a huge bag on his front porch. He's going to become an Arizona Wildcat. So in all likelihood, and again, you never know what will happen. I mean, Seth Day could get another job, guys could transfer, all kinds of crazy stuff can happen. But it looks like it's shaping up as a Sawyer Anderson versus Oscar Rios competition to succeed Noah Fifita. Does that sound right to you, Justin?
Yeah, that sounds right. And who knows? We'll see, what the recruiting class will look like in 2027. They might add another big time quarterback to the mix. We'll see. But 2026, Noah Fifita will be the guy. He's going to play one season with his younger brother Dash Fifita. And what a way to go out, right? You're going to stamp your career as the greatest quarterback in U of A history, and then you get to do it with younger bro by your side. And who's very happy about that? Mama and Papa Fifita, because now they don't got to do this split shifts with watching Dash play for Santa Margarita Catholic, which is doing some big things under Carson Palmer as their head coach, and then Noah Fifita playing for the Arizona Wildcats. Noah will be here for another year, and then it's going to be Oscar Rios versus, I keep wanting to call him Sawyer Anderson, who is the all-time passing yards leader in the Dallas-Fort Worth area with over 14,000 yards. So this guy played at the highest level in the Dallas area. He's going to be a really good quarterback. And, Oscar Rios was also in that Elite 11 camp, rocking the Arizona gears. So some good quarterbacks behind Noah Fifita. And you know what? Those guys for one season get to learn from one of the best to ever do it, if not the best, in Noah Fifita. So I think it's a really good and healthy situation at quarterback for Arizona.
Yeah, we don't know whether Braden Locke is going to come back next year. He's the current veteran backup on the team. He seems to like it here. a lot, but he also might want to play.
Yeah.
So it is entirely possible that he could decide to go and play somewhere else, in which case you've got a competition in spring for that number 2 quarterback job. Again, we're just speculating here. We don't know what the deal is with Braden. I'm sure they would love for him to stick around for another year because it seemed like it was a very good mix in the quarterback room. Okay, Brian Goodall has a really good one here. It seems there's not much talk about Joe Salavea's impact on this team. How would you assess his contributions to the season? Game plan, development, recruiting, morale, etc. Justin, why don't you start on that one?
Big Joe Salavea is one of the best recruiters on this Arizona staff because he has just this unique way to connect with young men, and he knows how to talk to parents. And I've heard that from several members of the coaching staff at Arizona that Joe Salavea and the way he connects with people while they're on official visits, it's pretty special to watch. And so I think recruiting, Joe Salavea is a really good person to have on your roster. And then as far as development, like he did it at Oregon, he did it at Miami, he did it at Washington State, as you saw with Hercules Mataafa. And this year, like it's been really awesome to see, the rise of guys like Deshaun McKnight, who stepped in from UT Martin and have done a really nice job under Joe Salavea. I think Tia Savea hit another gear, right? Like when he was like the first time he was at Arizona, he was like a middle of the road like player. He wasn't bad, but he also wasn't like making plays. I mean, outside of course the blocked field goal against UCLA and then that big play in the Territorial Cup. But outside of those two plays, kind of And I think this year he's done a really nice job under Joe Salavea. So yeah, I think he deserves a lot of credit. I think Leroy Palu and the rise that he's been on, I mean, he's been a really quality player on the interior. So I just think that those guys are in a really good spot with Big Joe, and he's definitely one of those coaches that deserves a lot of credit.
Yeah, you're going to see his impact more and more the longer he's here with the type of recruits that they're getting along the defensive line. As far as this year's team, you mentioned Tia Savea's improvement. I would also cite Maze Pace. Like
Totally.
I don't think any of us thought Maze Pace would be such a huge impact player. And he has been a regular in the defensive line rotation as a true freshman and has played pretty well. So I think that's a big deal. Getting Leroy Palu to come here, like this was not like a high profile type of guy who's been a really solid and needed player in the middle of that defensive line. Ezra Funa, who was unable to play this season, redshirted, could be a guy in next year's team.
Zach Ciulepa.
Ciulepa.
That is the project that I just cannot wait to see evolve, because Danny has also like taken it upon himself. Like, hey, we're going to do whatever we can to get him in shape. So he's going to be spending a lot of time with me at the crack of dawn. We're going to be working to getting him in shape and getting him to lose maybe 50 to 60 pounds before next season, and then turn him into an absolute force. That's going to be a fun project.
He played 8 special team snaps according to PFF in the Territorial Cup. So,
field goal block.
Got to start somewhere, right? I'm sure it was. Yeah, I'm sure that's what it was. I mean, he's a giant dude. Like seriously, he's like 6'6", like 400 pounds, and they would like him to be more like around 350. And since he's already able to run like 18 miles per hour at the weight that he's at, like, I don't know, man. Fascinating off-season project for the defensive coaching staff, the training staff, etc. All right. 12 Pack Radio, PAC, says, great year, but curious about next year. Are we in a position where we are developing high school talent or on a large transfer class trajectory? I would say that they would like to have a smaller transfer class, ideally, right? Yeah. I don't know what the final number was last year of actual transfers.
It's close to 30.
Was it? I might have been even higher than that. I'll look it up here while we're talking. But I think they would. You have to play that game.
Yeah.
Right. You can't just ignore the portal.
Yeah.
Okay. They will have holes to fill. Like, for example, center was a position that they sought in this last year and probably will be seeking again. And you're not going to plug a true freshman into that position, but they want to develop players from, bring them in, develop them, retain them. That's the idea. And then you kind of fill in the blanks with the portal class. I think that would be the ideal kind of balance and way to do it.
Well, it's also just another version of kind of the pro model, right? You want to have a good foundation and a good system through the draft and develop players and have players that are mainstays and guys that that you can lean on, guys that are going to stay. And then, when you look at just absolute positions of need, right? If you need a veteran, veterans are always better closer to the ball, right? So you got to look at the offensive line, you got to look at the defensive line. The more veteran you can get there, the better it is. And Arizona's going to have to, plug in some holes, and they have to look at this kind of like free agency. And what are the absolute positions of need, guys that you need to come in to make an impact right away, and they can just, settle in, and you can continue to win, football games and maintain that winning brand. So I think Brent Brennan knows what he wants to do. You can really just kind of see the formula, and I really trust these guys, because look at what they did with the group of 5 kids and also the FCS transfers. Like, yeah, they may not be coming in from these big name schools, but they're guys that want to prove themselves, and they stepped in and have really helped out Arizona. I don't think they're going to get as many of those guys moving forward because they have a really good foundation with recruits that they brought in, but they're certainly going to be looking in the transfer portal to really add to that depth and get to those positions of need.
Max Olson of ESPN put this tweet out a couple of days ago about kind of a correlation between starts and team success. Like, how many starts did your transfer portal class have wherever they were? And then he looked at some of the teams that had the most starts. They all had really good records, and Arizona was like in the top 4 in that category. So even though a lot of these guys played at lower levels, they had starting experience in college football, and that made a big difference. As far as like the raw numbers, if you look at last year in the Big 12, according to 247's database, West Virginia had 53. That was the most transfers, but that's a new coach, total rebuild situation. UCF had 41. Again, new coach, kind of a rebuild situation. Opposite end of the spectrum, Iowa State had 8.
Yeah.
Like, that is we are going to build or develop our own players.
We like what we got.
Yeah. A more realistic number to me is like what Kansas State and Arizona State did. They had 17. Arizona had 29. So somewhere like in the 15 to 18 range, I think would probably be the magic number, unless there are a bunch of surprise departures, which we don't think is going to happen, but I don't know. Never really assume anything when it comes to this sort of thing. Okay. Mac asks, better team, 2023 or 2025? Probably have to go with 2023 because more NFL talent. I did address this a little bit in my 5 takeaways from the Territorial Cup. We could go position by position if you want to. Justin, do it real fast. I'd say quarterback, I'd give the edge to this year's team because Noah Fafita is older, more experienced, and better.
Can run, too.
Can run. Running back is close, but I'd probably give the edge to the 23 team.
Yes.
Michael Wiley leading the way. They also had
Jonah Coleman.
Jonah Coleman.
Jonah Coleman averaged like 6 yards per carry after contact.
Yeah. Jonah Coleman is one of my favorites. DJ Williams was also on that team, and he's been in NFL camps and practice squads. Wide receivers, I'd probably give that to the 23 team. You've got T-Mac and Jacob Cowing. It's kind of hard to beat. This year's group has really come on, though, in a big way. As I pointed out the other day, Chris Hudson actually has the most receptions in the Big 12 in conference games only of any player. That's pretty good. Kind of a big deal. Depth is nice. Tight end position, got to go with the 23 team. Again, they had Tanner McLaughlin, who was a 5th-round pick, I think, or 6th-round pick in the NFL. I think Cameron Barmore is going to get some looks because he's a really good athlete and has really come on strong toward the end here, but I would still give that group the edge. Offensive line, definitely the 23 team. You had a 1st and a 2nd round pick on that unit in Jordan Morgan and Jonah Asaba-Inaya. But again, this group's done really well.
And then your left guard is starting at Tennessee right now.
Yes,
and Wendell Moy.
Correct.
Josh Baker is one of the best centers in the last, decade.
Mm-hmm.
And then, right guard, it was, you had Raymond Polito and
somebody else.
It was Leif Magnuson.
Oh, yeah, Leif.
Leif Magnuson, yeah. But I just think overall, you got to go with the 23 team.
Okay. Defensive line. I would probably go again. I'd probably go with the 23 team on this one. You've got Taylor Upshaw, Big Bill Norton. They were better at stopping the run than this team is.
Yeah.
Right. So I go with the 23 team on that one. Linebacker. I think I might go with this year's team. I think you've got two guys like in Tay Brown and Max Harris who are really solid. The 23 team had Jacob Manu, of course. And then it was kind of like a revolving door at that other spot, right? Like there was Kamuela Kaihu. There was Martel Irby moving into that linebacker position. Justin. It was sort of a revolving door.
Justin Flo. Who's that guy from Washington?
Oh, Daniel. What's his name? Daniel Hayamuli.
Yeah,
right?
Daniel Haimuli. Yeah,
Haimuli. Yeah. Okay, so I would say that you're getting more production out of the two guys this year. Like maybe Manu was more of a standout that year than either of this year's guys, but the two of them combined to me are a better linebacker unit. And then the secondary I would give to this year's team, I think pretty clearly. Maybe you think that, Ephesians Prysock and Takario Davis have better pro upside than any of Arizona's current corners, but Dalton Johnson and Traden Stukes were on that team, and they are better players now than they were. Genesis Smith versus Gunnar Maldonado, pretty close. I mean, Gunnar had a really good year that year. I'd say that's about a draw, but overall, the secondary is tremendous. And there's one of the main reasons that they're so good at pass defense. Yeah. And then finally, you've got the specialists, definite edge to the 23 team with Tyler Loop and Kyle Ostendorp versus Michael Salgado-Medino and Isaac Lovettson. I would say the 23 team was way better. So overall, talent-wise, the 23 team, I think, is a better team. If the two of them were to play each other in a simulation, like in the college football 26 game, I'd say the 23 team would probably win.
Yeah. What would the spread be, though? Because I agree with you. I think the 23 team, I give them the edge. So I say minus
I don't know. Yeah, 6.5 is what I would say.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, look, man, that team,
who's starting at quarterback for 23?
He is Noah's the universal quarterback, right?
Yeah.
He's the quarterback for both teams. And no tackling of Noah because he gets to do both.
I thought Jaden DeBoer was the quarterback for the 2023 team.
At one point, he got credit for some wins and some games that, Okay, so I'm going to quickly I've got some more here, including one from Threads from our guy, John Viator. Michael Salgado-Medina is currently 109th out of 116 kickers in field goal percentage at 61.3%. Do kickers develop over time like other player positions? And is there enough raw talent with MSM to justify patience in the transfer portal era versus trading up? And then where does 2025's field goal percentage at 613 rank all time for Arizona football? The answer to the first question is yes, absolutely. Kickers do improve. Think about the career trajectories of Lucas Haversick and Tyler Loop. I mean, these were not guys who were like, you're the kicker from your freshman year on. Like these guys had to earn those spots and they got better as their time progressed here at Arizona. What do you think about that?
Man,
that part of it.
So when I first became the beat writer, the thing about Tyler Loop was he had not really been the long ball guy. They had not really couldn't
do it, right?
Like, it just seemed like Tyler Loop could not do the long ball. And then all of a sudden, now he's in the NFL making 62-yard field goals. So you can see the development. A guy who's the biggest example of that, in my opinion, has been Tyler Loop. Like, we talked about the long ball and, can he do it? And not only did he do it, but he did it like effectively time and time and time again. Like, there were a lot of times last year where Arizona was in the game because of Tyler Loop and his field goals. So, yeah, I'm not ready to give up on Michael Salgado Medina as far as like his misses and like how many misses or where does it rank in Arizona football history. I think it might be the most missed field goals since like 2000, if I'm not mistaken, or like somewhere in the late
1999.
1999.
Arizona was 6 for 19.
Yeah.
On field goals. Ouch.
So, yeah, you don't want to be San Diego's area code for field goals. That's not good.
I will say that I'm just looking through some stats here, and they had a lot of field goal attempts this year, like more than I'm seeing in almost any season since like 1978, which is when the Pac-10, Pac-12 era began. They were 31 attempps this season. Yeah. The most I'm seeing in any other year is 29. So I don't know what that means exactly, but certainly. I mean, look, field goal kicking has come a long way in the sport overall. Like, kickers just make a way higher percentage than back in the day. I don't want to call anybody out here, Justin, but on that 1999 team, there was a fellow named Mark McDonald who made 1 out of 10 field goal attempts.
Oh, geez.
For Arizona. And I guess he was probably replaced by someone named Sean Keel, who made 5 of 8. And Sean was the guy the next year, 13 of 17, then 9 of 14. Like Nick Folk, in 2003 was 0 for 3. And then the next year he was 8 for 13. That's 61.5%. Then he's 7 for 11, 63.6, and then 15 for 20, 75%.
Yeah.
So that shows you right there that guys do improve over the course of time.
Yeah. Don't give up on MSM.
don't give up. Okay. All right. Rolodex 2738. When we beat ASU, does that lock us in for a Holiday Bowl trip? Are there any downsides to Holiday Bowl over Sun Bowl? What's the probability we get to play Washington in either of these bowl games? What do you think about that, Justin?
Well, I don't think they'll play Washington in any of these bowl games, as much as I would love to see that storyline, to see Arizona play against Washington and Jedd Fisch. I really don't see it happening. Now, I think
they're both Pac-12.
Yeah, they're both
Pac-12 for the purposes of this bowl cycle.
Yeah.
So I don't even know how that would be possible.
So it's not going to happen. As far as, the Holiday Bowl, I mean, heck, we talked about it. The fact that an official was like, yeah, guys, see you in San Diego, and, was out there schmoozing with Brent afterwards. I'm like, that seems like a very good indication that they're going to be going to the Holiday Bowl, but you never know. I mean, El Paso or San Diego, I've never really been to El Paso. I was actually really looking forward to it because, I love the idea of Arizona winning the Sun Bowl and then those guys dumping Brent Brennan with a bunch of Frosted Flakes. Like, I think that's a really cool thing. And the Sun Bowl, they treat their teams like you said it, Lev, they roll out the red carpet. They treat people who come out for the bowl game like royalty, and it's a good time in El Paso for the Sun Bowl. I was looking forward to experiencing that, but you know what? San Diego for New Year's, it's a 6-hour drive from Tucson. There's a lot of Arizona alumni in Southern California that I'm sure would love to come down to San Diego and watch their Wildcats play on January 2nd. So I think San Diego Holiday Bowl, I think it's really the perfect scenario for Arizona. And who knows, they might get a juicy opponent, right? Like Miami could conceivably play against Arizona. And, Arizona, Miami, they've got history playing against each other in bowl games. To see that in the Holiday Bowl in San Diego, I think would be awesome. Or even a program like SMU or Georgia Tech. Like, I just think that San Diego Holiday Bowl, that to me is the bowl game that I think Arizona will be playing in.
Yeah, I say the only downside, if you want to call it that, is just how late it is. And it does bump up into the transfer portal itself. Like, the transfer portal opens on January 2nd, and this bowl game is on January 2nd. So that'll make for a busy and stressful day for the U of A staff and for people like Justin Spears, who have to monitor the comings and goings, which is a good segue into the last of our mailbag questions. There is one more after this, but I'm going to save it till for Jordy when he comes on.
Okay.
Carl Hansen, what players have exhausted their eligibility, needs from the portal, and who are you keeping an eye on for next year? How many guys walked on senior day? Was it 28?
28.
That is a big class.
Yeah.
Right. So in all likelihood, like this is going to be a younger team next year. Some of the key guys who have exhausted their eligibility include Ismail Mahdi, top running back, Chris Hudson, top wide receiver, both your offensive tackles, Ty Buchanan and Tristan Bounds, starting center, Kaina DeCambra, left guard, Chuba Ma'ai, defensive tackle Tia Savea, linebacker Max Harris, cornerback Deshaun McKnight, another defensive lineman who's a starter, cornerback Michael Dansby, cornerback Aiden Garnes. So some pretty significant dudes, to be sure. So yeah, I think probably looking for at least a center and maybe also another potential starting offensive lineman in the portal. I'd say they could probably use a veteran cornerback.
Yeah.
I also think linebacker, because Myron Robinson is facing a long rehab from a knee injury. Going into this offseason. I think all of us kind of penciled him in as like the guy who's going to start next to Tay Brown next year. Now that's maybe a little bit of in question. You've got Jabari Mann, but I think they have like a veteran linebacker to me is suddenly a position where they might be looking for someone out of the portal.
Yeah. And I mean, Jabari Mann, it looks like a very promising player, very edgy guy. Like he plays with the kind of tenacity that you want to see. He's definitely not afraid of contact. And then, Chase Kennedy, I mean, could you slot him over into that kind of role? Because he does have eligibility.
Could he be? He did play that spot a little bit. Oh, Riley Wilson's another one they're losing, by the way.
Yeah, Riley Wilson. Yeah.
I like Chase as more of an edge guy personally, and sort of like available in an emergency to play the traditional linebacker spot.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. If Danny G's back, who knows what he'll come up with. Full off season with these guys. I don't know. Maybe he'll have one lineman and 6 linebackers and 4 defensive backs, or 5 linemen, 1 linebacker and 5 defensive backs. Who knows? Like anything is possible. And players like similar to basketball, like the positions, it's more of a positionless sport than ever, right? Like even Madden and the college football game changed from the traditional defensive end label to edge.
Yeah.
Right. So I like Chase Kennedy better as someone who can come off the edge or drop into coverage from outside the tackle.
Lev, before we get Jordy on, I had a couple one from Donnie Archuleta and one from Joe Sturk. Joe's a big supporter of the podcast.
Yeah.
I'm lumping these together because they're very similar. And Donnie asks, we all know Daggy will be gone in the near future. Is Danny G happy in his role at Arizona? With his family being so important to him, would a head coaching job really be attractive to him? He seems to enjoy the hell out of running his defense, and being head coach would hinder that, I think. And then Joe Sturk asks, Justin, in your opinion, what does Arizona have to do to keep the 3 amigos together? I mean, Coach B, Coach Daggy, and Coach Gonzalez, and he made sure it's Gonzalez with an S. So, I mean, it's still early for contract extensions and negotiations, but I just think that the coordinator's in a really good spot right now because Danny Gonzalez loves Arizona. He loves where he's at. He loves what Brent is building. Unless a team is like, Danny, we'd love for you to be the head coach, I don't think he's leaving. I mean, even like people have like approached me like, hey, Nebraska, they're looking for a defensive coordinator. Would Danny consider that job? And I'm like, I really don't think so. Like, I really think that Danny loves being the defensive coordinator here. And then if the right situation opens up for him to be a head coach, then I could see Danny making that jump. Seth Daggy, he's got one more year left with Noah Fafita. I feel like he wants to like maximize every little bit of that experience before he even considers moving on to his next big gig, whatever it is. So I think for the time being, you at least got these guys. Again, you don't know what happens in college football, right? Anything can happen, but I feel pretty good about these guys sticking around for another year, and that continuity should set up for what could be another big season in 2026.
Yeah, I am sure that there are many programs that would love to have Danny Gonzalez as their defensive coordinator after the job he did this year at Arizona. But our sense is that he would not leave for another defensive coordinator job. I think he would like to become a head coach again. Like he felt like he got dealt a bad hand at New Mexico. And, he would like to prove himself. These guys all have egos and, and they all want to move up the coaching ladder if they can. I don't even going to like an SEC school as a DC. I don't think that's really a move up. It's a lateral move for the most part. Head coach, different story. With Seth Doege, he's still young. He's still relatively unproven. He's only been an offensive coordinator for 2 years. But, those guys are always attractive on the job market, right? So you never know. I agree with you, though. I think that he would like to at least stay for one more year, have another season with Noah Fifita, and just really see what they can do together, because it didn't really come together that great until about mid-season-ish, right? Maybe starting with that Houston game or so, where you really saw Noah Fifita's play take off, like another whole off season together. I think he could. Hey, the sky's the limit for what Noah Fifita can be here. Like I said, he is going to, if he stays and has another year like this year, he'll end up with over 100 touchdown passes at Arizona, and the record that he broke was 67. So,
and that won't probably ever be touched.
Yeah. You wouldn't think so.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, and I mean, if he doesn't win Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year this year, which will, could go to LJ Martin from BYU, comes back another year, maybe he's the Player of the Year next year.
Yeah, and they have a nice core of wide receivers coming back too, on paper anyway, with Chris Hunter and Trace Bybee, Gio Richardson, Isaiah Mizell.
Solid.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
All right. With that being said, Lev, let's get our special guest on. Jordan Hamm, the former director of mashed potatoes.
I'm in my off week now. It was a busy week last week.
Good to see you, Jordy.
Good to see you, fellas.
You have a good Thanksgiving?
Hey, Lev. Yeah, I did have a good Thanksgiving. Pretty uneventful. And then we all got to see each other and take in that Territorial Cup, the late night edition. And here we are now waiting for bowl games to come out and championship games to be had and all that fun stuff.
Jordy, why were Justin and I upset after the Territorial Cup, after we came back up into the press box?
Because the security still had some fire left. The game was 4 quarters, but they wanted to play a 5th quarter, and because I had heard contradicting things too. Because I came down and I have a field pass, so it wasn't a big deal for me. But some of the other reporters are press box only, and one person was saying, "Oh, it can't come down until 5 minutes left." The others are, "Nope, we're locking it at 5 minutes," and a lot of unclear stuff. And sounds like Spears was on the receiving end of some tenacity from the
Justin had trouble getting down to the field. Then a bunch of us got locked out trying to get back after press conferences. And then, for those of you who watched our post-game video, Justin and I were disrupted multiple times by the grounds crew. And we got some good advice from Jordy after the fact that we should shoot from the stands next time.
I didn't even think to tell you ahead of time. I should have remembered that. But that's the beauty of a grass field. They get right to work after the game to maintain. So
yeah, those grounds crew guys, like, they did not care about us in any shape or form.
No, they didn't.
We did not exist. Like, I think that forklift driver would have run over us if he needed to.
They really only speak unless they're like about to impale you with their forklift.
Yeah.
So, but they got work to do, man. Like, and that field's renowned for how great it is, and they get right to work. And
it was just so funny because Lev was like, okay, but let's talk about that fourth down play with Quincy Craig out in the flat. I'm like, all right, we got to go. See you guys.
There's a very funny video. I'll see if I can find it. It was like even before Sarah, my wife, and I even started dating. So this is 10 plus years ago, but she was working at Easy Central trying to do a video with Doug Holler, and Tempe is positioned right next to Sky Harbor. So they were trying to do a recap of a practice or whatever. And it was the Southwest flights just every 2.5 minutes. And she's like, every damn time. There's another one. There's another one. So it's loud up in Tempe, apparently.
That's amazing.
We have experienced the from the naval base here.
Oh, sure.
When we used to do outdoor interviews, which Jedfish insisted upon that they all be outdoors without fail. There would always be like a plane.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Flying
Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, man, sending out the A-10s and the.
Did I say naval base? Did I say naval base?
Yeah.
Air Force
I didn't catch it.
There's no huge bodies of water near Tucson. I don't know what I was thinking. Yes, the Davis-Monthan Air Force Base. Before we get into the Big 12 championship game and the latest on the Big 12 Bonanza standings, I do have one lingering mailbag question I thought we'd ask while Jordy was on with us. Adam Leone wonders, could this be Kenny Dillingham's last Territorial Cup? Many of the jobs have been filled out there in college football. Some of them have not. One of the ones that remains unfilled, a pretty high profile one. One of the candidates is one of the coaches who's participating in the Big 12 championship game. I wonder.
Shout out to Crumble Cookie.
If Kalani Sitake is not the guy, if the BYU is able to keep him, I don't know, might Penn State look at Kenny Dillingham? Jordy,
I think they'll look. I don't know if he'll look back. He's given a pretty clear indication, like he was never leaving. This is home. How long is that going to play out? I don't know. But it does feel like it's, at least for this offseason, and it's a compliment. That means he's doing a good job. That means, and there have been a lot of people that are like, this is my alma mater. I want to be here. And, a couple of years later down the road, that doesn't, or all of a sudden there's a can't miss job. I think all the can't miss jobs have been filled. And I think he still wants to ride this out a little bit, see where it goes. So yeah, I think he's sticking around for at least one more year, and we'll see kind of where it goes from there.
So you don't think that Activate Happy Valley is in the cards at all? No?
That's incredible. We need to get some shirts if that happens.
Package deal with Sam Levitt?
Well, that was when things were at their weirdest, and that report came out that it's doubtful Sam may or may not come back and this and that. And it was, the conspiracy theory was Kenny's going to LSU and he's taking Sam with him. And it leaked on Sam's side before it did Kenny. And, all of this unfounded, and just, it looked like the It's Always Sunny episode where it's all the red string on the, Pepe Sylvia and all that. So yeah, college football stay weird, but yeah, I think Kenny's here. Feel like we have to go 1 year at a time. I think for the next year, I'm very confident that he is here.
Fair enough. A lot of smoke about Kalani Sitake being the guy. Justin, what's the Crumble Cookies thing? Can you explain this to people?
Yeah, so the CEO of Crumble Cookie is a BYU grad and apparently a booster of BYU athletics. And he's said on Twitter, he's like, well, some people are just too valuable to replace. So it looks like I got to get up off my couch or get off the sidelines or help or something along those lines. He tweeted something, and come to find out it's the actual CEO of Crumble Cookie. And so Crumble is like, we're going to try to do whatever we can to keep Kalani Sitake. And you know, it's funny. I don't know if this is real or not, but like there was an airport in Pennsylvania, and apparently they were tracking like online meal orders, and one of the online meal orders was K Satake. And it's like, man, you heard of flight tracking. What about mobile order food tracking?
Right.
At airports in Pennsylvania. I don't know if that's AI, if that's real or not, but I just found it very funny. But yeah, Crumble Cookies, like, no, we need Kalani Satake to stay here in Provo.
Well, they did that too. Someone on the internet, and I would say 99% sure it was fake, but it was a tea time in Baton Rouge.
Oh, Kenny.
Where Kenny Dillingham was a part of it with Nick Saban and somebody else. And so it's just like this AI Photoshop stuff, like it's too much right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not huge advocates of that here. We all consider ourselves to be legitimate journalists, and we discourage that type of thing. But you know what? Unfortunately, it's only becoming more and more prominent and prevalent. It can be funny at times, but it also can confuse people.
Yeah, like listen,
what's actually happening.
Like, I'm down for a good joke, like Lane Kiffin saying, like, you know, I talked to God and he told me to go to LSU. And I just kept thinking about Nick Saban in that all-white suit on College Game Day. Like, when I get up to the pearly gates, that's how I imagine how God looks like. Nick Saban in an all-white suit. But no, we don't like AI photos.
So, hey, guys, something monumental happened this past week, and that is that I finished over 500 against the spread for the first time since scrolling. The last time that happened was week 5. So it had been a minute.
Beat the spread, Lev.
Congrats to me. I was 5-3 against the spread, as was Justin. Jordy, you know, he took some shots from deep. Didn't necessarily go through the hoop. He was 3-5. Really thought there for a minute when UCF went up 14-0 in that game against BYU, like, oh my God, Jordy's like, he picked UCF to win this game. Like, this is actually going to happen. It didn't happen, but you know,
I had a guttural reaction when Jalen Daniels threw a pick 6 against Utah in the closing minutes, where Sarah, you guys was like, are you okay? And it wasn't like angry. It was just like, oh, what? And she's like, are you dying? What's going on?
You know what? Good teams win, great teams cover. Kansas still covered in that game, despite Jalen Daniels not having the legacy performance that Jordy was hoping for. Jordy finished 3-5 against the spread, straight up. Justin and I were 6-2. Jordy was 4-4. So here's where things stand at the end of the regular season. Justin in first place against the spread, 48-50. Jordy 2 games behind, 46 and 53. Oh, my math is bad here. That should be 50. Wait, hold on. That's 48-51, Justin.
Okay.
Sorry. It's been 99 games. Yeah, 48-51. I'm 43-56, straight up. Justin, 69-30. I am 68-31. Jordy, 64-35. We have one game to pick this week. That is the Big 12 championship game. BYU Texas Tech rematch. This is number 11 versus number 5. There will be new rankings that come out tonight after our pod, so those could change a little bit. Game is on ABC, and Texas Tech is favored by 12.5 points down there at Jerry World, AT&T Stadium. So the last time these two met, it was a very one-sided affair. Texas Tech won 29-7, and the only reason that it was that close was they were only 2 for 7 in the red zone as far as scoring touchdowns. So Texas Tech settling for field goals a bunch. That is actually like the one Achilles heel that this Red Raiders team has. They are not very good in the red zone. They are number 12 in the Big 12, 58.8% touchdown rate. That is actually BYU's strength on defense. They're number 1 red zone defense, 41.9% touchdown prevention for them. They had, in that game, BYU, 67 rushing yards. That is the only game this season that they have had fewer than 100 rushing yards. Texas Tech is number 1 in the nation in run defense. To me, fellas, that is what this game comes down to. Can BYU run the football at all? Because the last thing you want to have is your still young quarterback, Bear Bachmeier, in a bunch of 3rd and long situations when he has to drop back into the pocket and make multiple reads. I just don't think he's there quite yet. So you can get him into 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, where maybe he's a threat to run the ball himself or hand the ball to LJ Martin, or they can throw a bubble screen or a little swing pass to LJ. That is a more comfortable position for BYU to be in. So to me, that is like the number one issue as far as this Big 12 championship game goes. What are you guys' thoughts?
Yeah, this is good on good, man. This is the great rushing defense by Texas Tech against the great rushing attack by BYU and LJ Martin, who's probably going to be your Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year. And so I think that this game is going to be a little bit different. I do think that Jacob Rodriguez is going to have really a statement game where he kind of stamps his All-American season. You know, it wouldn't surprise me if Jacob Rodriguez got some love for the Heisman. You know, I'm not saying he's going to be a finalist in New York, but it wouldn't surprise me if we saw Jacob Rodriguez as like a top 10 finalist for the Heisman. I
wish there were 5 guys that we could vote for instead of 3,
100%,
because I think he'd have a much better chance of getting votes or making
Absolutely.
it to New York or whatever, if that were the case.
Totally. I mean, trust me, I'm a Heisman voter. You're a Heisman voter, Lev. Like, I've thought about it, like, because Jacob Rodriguez, I kind of like what they're doing. They're putting him in like goal line packages, and they're like, hey, score touchdown so you can improve your Heisman campaign. Like, I see what Joey McGuire's doing for Jacob Rodriguez. That guy's a stud. Him and David Bailey coming off the edge. I think they figure out a way to stop the run, and I think they win on was it Saturday? And I think it's the first time. Yeah, Texas Tech has not won the conference outright championship since 1955, or has not won a conference championship since 1955, and has not played for a Big 12 title since the league was formed in 1966. So I think their historic season kind of comes to a very successful end, and they punctuate what's been a great year, and they get into the CFP flying high.
And are they going to win this game by more than 12.5 points, Justin?
Crumble Cookie says no. I'm going BYU to cover. I think Texas Tech will win by 7 or 10.
Okay. Jordy.
As the only non-Heisman voter in this group, I will give my expertise now. I think
you should make that should be your title next time.
Should be
non-Heisman voter.
That's what it's going to be. I'm going to go, you guys were so busy with your Heisman vote, and here I was just all my free time. We've time and again, we have looked at this Texas Tech team and gone, hey, this could be the game where maybe they still win, but they don't look great. Hey, maybe they still win, but they don't look great. Their only loss was to ASU on the road. That's when ASU was much more healthy. They had their backup quarterback in, and I know many teams would love to have that backup quarterback, but it wasn't the ideal situation. And that's really where we've seen them truly struggle. And I think that can be a feather in ASU's cap this year, that defense came to play and was able to shut down one of the best offenses, and they were able to muster up enough points to go ahead and beat that team. I don't see them taking this lightly. They had a formula to beat BYU. Do I think BYU is going to come in with the exact same formula? No. It's tough to beat a team twice in the same year, but I think Texas Tech is going to do it, and I think they're going to do it probably by 2 scores. I think it's going to be about a 14-point game. I think it's going to be highly competitive, but maybe the Red Raiders eventually just kind of pull away a little too far to go ahead and have a somewhat comfortable win. But, it is cool that this year, especially, there were 2 teams and kind of everybody else, and those are the 2 teams playing. I think it's good for the conference. It'd be great if BYU could find a way into the playoff. I think that's probably a pretty low percentage, but to see the way that they rattled that off, and then they have the offseason that they have and the turnover. And I thought BYU would be kind of regression team just because it felt like 21 interceptions in one season wasn't sustainable. Turns out the defense is still just as good. And Bear Bachmeier came ready to play, and LJ Martin has just been steady Eddie for them. But I still think the Red Raiders go ahead and take this.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I thought that whole Jake Retzloff situation, I was like, oh, man, that's bad news. Like,
yeah,
there goes their season, right? Because now they got Bear Bachmeier. We'll see what happens with Tracy Bourget, whoever wins that quarterback battle. And I did not really have high expectations for Bear Bachmeier, and he's won Big 12 Freshman of the Week like 7 times this year. He's been really good, and I think it goes to show the kind of coach that Kalani Sitake is.
100%. Even when Retzloff was there, I was just kind of like, I don't know. And they have made me eat my words for most of the season. They've come to play and been very, very good.
Yeah,
now,
so I dropped BYU out of my preseason top 25 for that reason, because of the quarterback situation, not knowing how good Bear Bachmeier would be. Worth noting that in that first game, Jacob Rodriguez had 14 tackles, an interception, and a fumble recovery. So pretty good. Cameron Dickey and Jacoby Williams combined for 198 rushing yards in that game. They also have, and we're in the process of putting together our AP vote for the all Big 12 team. Their defensive line is just outrageous. Like, I think all 4 members are going to make it onto my ballot in all likelihood. We do first and second teams. So much quarterback pressure from those guys. Like, it is just absurd how much better they are at that position than just about everyone else in the league. I think they're still going to dominate up front. They are going to shut off the rushing game. They're going to make things really hard on Bear Bachmeier again. I'm going to take Texas Tech. I'm going to lay the points and say that they're going to win by at least 2 touchdowns, like Jordy said.
So real quick, as I know Jordy has to leave. Let's say BYU wins somehow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say Duke beats Virginia. Let's say we get just crazy this weekend in college football. What happens?
Well, I think Texas Tech is in, even if they lose this game. If it's a blowout, I think that's about the least likely scenario. Let's say BYU wins by a field goal. I think Texas Tech is in, and then BYU's in because they are one of the top 5 highest ranked conference champions, right? The committee does not want this to happen. They do not want Duke to win. They especially don't want Duke to win, because that is a worst case scenario where they have to put 2 G5s or G6s into the field of 12, and some really, really good power conference teams are going to be left out. So the best thing for them is BYU loses, BYU drops out, Virginia wins, they're the ACC rep, and you can get someone like Miami or someone like Vanderbilt or Texas, into the back end of the playoff.
I kind of want to see it.
Let's get weird.
I kind of want to see it. I don't envy them, but I kind of want to see it.
Like, well, I posited this question. Like, what if James Madison gets upset?
Yeah.
In the Sun Belt, then they're favored by like 20 something points. Okay. What if they lose? Like, what if there aren't 5 ranked conference champions? Like, do they do rankings beyond 25? Do they have like 26 through 50 just in case
I think
something like this happens, right? But it's not publicized.
Right.
Yeah.
Agent of Chaos. That's another. You could definitely put that as your little title too, Jordy. It's always
when I'm not involved, I don't have to cover it. I'm like, let it all burn. But when I'm involved, it's usually like, no, like, I like this narrative. Let's stick with this.
That's amazing. All right, Big 12 championship, Texas Tech versus BYU. Can't wait. And so we all got Texas Tech winning the Big 12 title.
We do. Justin is
BYU
out there as a BYU cover. I would love to see a close game, right? Yeah. I would much prefer as a fan to see a close and competitive game. It's just, looking at it on paper, my brain says Texas Tech has been the best team in the league all year, and will show it again on Saturday.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. That is it for the latest episode of the Wildcast podcast. Huge thanks to Jordan Hamm. Jordan, What's the week looking like for you at Sports 360 AZ?
Yeah, there's a lot going on. ASU volleyball is hosting I guess regional. The postseason has started. U of A got in there too, but ASU's hosting. If ASU women's basketball wins 2 more games, it's the best start ever in program history. So year 1 under Molly Miller looking good so far. We got signing day. Our all academic team is coming out in a couple of weeks. We always do our show at the National Football Foundation, now the Bill Riddle chapter, recognizing some of the top players in the, I guess, greater Phoenix, the non-Southern Arizona portion of the state. So there's a ton going on our site, on the TV shows that we produce. So you're getting pulled in 14 different directions this week, but it's all the cool stuff and, hopefully putting a nice bow on the high school season and then figuring out where ASU and U of A head for the bowl games.
I was going to say prediction for bowl games for both.
It sure sounds like the Holiday Bowl for Arizona.
Yeah.
Which I am not opposed to. And then I've heard the Sun Bowl or the LA Bowl for ASU, just depending on how things shake out. And it's really interesting just because Sun Bowl's December 31st and you have the LA Bowl on the 13th. So which might be better for ASU? Would they rather play a little bit earlier and then focus on the portal, or would they rather, go to the Sun Bowl where they've been a couple times in the past decade? But yeah, we'll see. And then looking forward to seeing what schools head over for the Arizona Bowl too.
Hell yeah, man. All right. Check us out on the Wildcast podcast on Apple and Spotify. Jordy, appreciate you, man. Thank you as always.
Appreciate you guys.
All right. And we'll see you guys after bowl announcement. We'll see where the Arizona Wildcats are heading to. We think it's the Holiday Bowl, but you never know. But until then, we'll see you guys.